in light of what you're experiencing and the platform that God has given you, in light of seeing folks, I don't know, Russell Brand, all these folks that are coming to faith. Billboard just released this list of the top grossing comedians, right? And the number one grossing comedian right now is Nate Bargatze. Shout out to Nate Bargatze. Number one grossing comedian, sold over 1.1 million tickets, grossed over $82 million. Do you think, in light of, and I know you've met Nate before, and he's
just briefly at a show,
clean comedian, a family friendly Christian dude. From my understanding, grew up Christian, isn't afraid to talk about growing up Christian and growing up in a Christian environment. What do you make of what seems to be happening on a macro cultural shift, right? To kind of talk about some good news for a change. What do you make of all that?
Man, I think that it's amazing, and it should be an encouragement to any believer who is thinking they need to be afraid of sharing their message. I think that our culture is so desperate for good news, but authentic good news, not polished, made up, some different definition of our own definition of love, and also I think just authentic good news. And like I see this, and I'm like, it's amazing to me because it shows that there's something in us that like good stuff still works, right? And I say this too, when I was on America's Got Talent, man, I was afraid of like, what is gonna come of this stuff, what's gonna happen? And then it was like this story of people just wanting authentic things. I mean, there was a guy I didn't talk to recently. I watched a video of a guy who was talking about how he kind of always avoided the Jesus stuff, and he always avoided like just claiming faith, and he would call it the universe and all these things. But as darkness has become more and more evident and obvious in our culture, he was like, I accidentally became a Christian. Like, because I realized as darkness became more evident, I knew I didn't want to be a part of that. So it was pushing me away from that, which naturally pushed me into Jesus, the alternative, which is Jesus, which is truth. And I think that this is a perfect example of the fact that and plus, I mean, come on, let's get real. Nate is smart, right? He's just good. He doesn't have to rely on even being raunchy or all these things. Nate I think he's a genius. I think he's one of the smartest comedians. He leans into his personality. He leans into who he is. And
what was it like interacting with him when you guys met? I'm excited to bring you guys our very first 3-day conference called the Bless God Summit, happening March 27th, 28th, 29th in Southern California. And at this conference, we'll have your very own Preston Perry.
Me as an evangelist, I've made it up in my mind that I'm not going to leave people with an excuse not to serve Jesus.
Dr. Sean McDowell.
If there's one thing Christians should care about, it's truth.
Our vision with this conference is to equip, empower, and inspire people to do the work of the ministry that God has for them in this time. And at this conference, we'll have your very own Alan Parr and his wife, Jim Parr.
The number one reason, people want to get divorced because they want to find someone else who can make them happy. Now, what they don't realize, they're chasing the wind.
John McCrae from What Do You Mean?
What you may be shocked, or you may not be shocked to know, is that the majority of Christians in America, they don't know how to articulate the message of the gospel to non-believers.
Lila Rose.
Love and marriage go together, that sex and marriage go together, that sex can bring life into the world, and that's an amazing thing, that's not a bad thing.
Trizzle Fitness.
Most people fail at dieting because they're just trying to lose weight too fast. What are you in such a rush for?
But where a lot of people get stuck is figuring out what it looks like to walk in that. And so these 3 pillars of our conference will be covering everything from apologetics to family in the home and the marketplace, and how you can lean into those 3 pillars to discover your calling on this side of eternity.
Oh, he was amazing, man. And again, we're not like friends, right? But it's funny because, so his dad's a magician. Every magician now, like as Nate's gotten famous, every magician is like, in their mind, they're Nate's best friend because we're like, we met his dad, right? And it's like, Nate loves me. We have that connection because he does magic and I do magic. And I just didn't want to be that guy. But so we went to a show. He had a show in Springfield, which is like an hour from Branson. And it was so amazing. And afterwards, there's like a small amount of people got to do a meet and greet with him. And it was just, dude, he was just so kind. And, I think when it comes to like meet and greet stuff, it's very easy sometimes to just turn it on and not really be interested. But it's nice when you can see a person who's just genuinely being authentic in that moment. And I really felt that from him. And I think, I know you've met tons of celebrity people and stuff, and you can feel it sometimes when there's just that like, oh yeah, cool, nice to meet you, don't care, but I need to pretend like I do. Yeah, he just seems like a really cool, authentic guy.
Yeah, shout out to Nate, and shout out to everyone that's doing excellent work in media, in entertainment, for Jesus.
Yeah.
Regardless on how overt or unapologetic they are with their profession, I think it's a massive net positive.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. And I think that we have gifts to just to entertain, right? I think that there's a place for that, to just be together and to laugh. And I always think of that scripture, the joy of the Lord is your strength. We say this all the time. But some of the context around that is these people, they're trying to get their hearts right with God, and they're fasting and they're mourning and they're grieving and Jesus is like, yo, guys, just get choice drinks, get the best meats, invite your neighbors, invite neighboring cities, and just have a party, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. Sometimes we can celebrate life and we can laugh and we can be happy. We can play games. We can lean into our relationships and have the Jesus conversation. And sometimes we can just share funny stories of things that happen. And it's what I love about Nate and people who are able to do that is there's a need for that, I think.
Do you think there's a shift, maybe my buddy Mike Signorelli said Jesus Revolution 2.0, maybe another great awakening. It sounds like it's awfully similar to the late 60s to what's happening now.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that, man. I would say I've talked to so many people in their own worlds and realms who have been in their own season and having their own conversations that are so similar to each other. Like just feeling like I'm always hesitant to use the word revival. I think we call everything a revival, right?
Sure.
Oh, people, it's a revival, right?
Revival service.
Everything's a revival,
Yeah.
But I do feel like there is, I don't know, man. I feel like there's this stirring for revival, for people to really be like, you know what? This Jesus stuff makes sense. We were kind of offended by it. We're mad at it. So we tried doing it our own way. And that kind of didn't make sense either. And so it's like, I think we got to get back.
Yeah.
Because the gospel, I don't even think it's that it doesn't make sense. I think it just offends us. Like,
Yeah.
we want to believe the standards of God, the principles of God, but we don't want to make him God, because I want to make my own rules. I want to do things my own way too. And I think as we start detaching ourselves from having a king, a Lord, a ruler in our lives who defines rules and truth, whether I agree with it or not, whether I like it or not, there's something very important about that. And, as a parent, like, it's okay that your kids don't understand all of your boundaries. Like, you tell them, don't go play in the street. It doesn't matter if they understand why or not. That's just, don't do it. One day they'll get it.
Yep.
And I think that we have those interactions with the gospel of the things we can't do, and without even understanding it, we're like, I want to believe it, but I also want to make my own rules. And I think we're like getting to a place where we're coming back to the beauty of Jesus being king. It is okay that I am not my own God.
I love it. Well, I think you're kind of hinting at revival a little bit. I think there's something else happening. I think with the rise of nuns, which is a huge percentage of our generation, and the Gen Z folks are like no religious affiliation.
Yeah.
That it's not even it's revival within aspects of the Christian world. I think I see that for sure. But I think that there's an awakening happening of folks who have no understanding of Jesus or the Bible.
I agree, dude.
And we're starting like base level, ground floor.
Yeah.
Like, who is Jesus?
Yeah,
What did
yeah.
he claim?
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me.
Dude, it's amazing. And I think it's because people have these preconceived ideas of what religion is and what Christianity is. And what I've seen in like just this past chapter, as we've seen people come to know Jesus, it's like you said, it's like for the first time they're experiencing this new version of Christianity, new version for them of like, I can have a relationship with God and he cares and I have purpose, and it's like I can set down these distractions and I can feel what it means to connect with the human. I can feel the hug of a person who cares about me, who wants me to know God for right reasons. And dude, it is wild. Just like some of these people who, again, in this last season, who've come to know Jesus, and it's like their mind is blown at the simplicity of the gospel and how good God is. And I think it's beautiful, because it's almost like people have stepped away from the church and they've been mad at it for so long that now it's becoming new all over again. I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't ever want people to walk away from Jesus, but it's almost like God's even redeeming that into now it feels like this fresh thing of people understanding what that means.
I've heard it described as, we think that we are in a post-Christian nation, but it's possible that we may be in a pre-Christian nation. That we've drifted so far that it's not post, like we're pre. Like it's even in the things that people are coming back to, I think some of these things are so radical, right?
Yeah.
Love for your neighbor, eliminating partiality, caring for the widow and the orphan, treating others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
I don't even think it perfectly fits into political ideologies.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't think when you say because everything now with like conservatism and da-da-da-da. And I think there's
Yeah.
a danger with like Christless conservatism.
Right.
But what I'm getting at isn't even trying to conserve anything. I'm saying radical generosity.
Yeah.
There's nothing conserving of radical or conservative about radical generosity.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level of the kingdom coming to earth.
Exactly. And I think it just, again, it goes into like this idea that we have in our head is that if we can change the guy with the microphone, we can change everything. But the reality is that we have the responsibility to walk that out, to walk out radical generosity, right? To be kind to people, to care for the orphan and the widow. Like, it is our responsibility to walk that out. And when people see it, they realize, like, it's like that thing again, like the verse that talks about like against love, there's no law,
Amen.
right?
Amen.
And I think that as we just start embracing our authority as Christians, and I say authority because it's the truth. God obviously is the authority and he puts that truth in us. I think that truth has authority, right? Because it doesn't matter what you tell me about what you believe. The reality is that what God says is real. So when you encourage a person, when you speak the things of God over a person's life, it's going to bring about the fruit that God says it's going to bring about. What's up, everybody? It's Dustin Tavella, magician, illusionist, and winner of America's Got Talent. I'm so incredibly excited to be at the Bless God Summit this year, coming up March 27th, 28th, and 29th. Make sure you guys go to blessgodsummit.com, get your tickets, come and have your faith built, get your vision expanded, and have your mind blown.